Movies without soundtracks aren't movies, and let me explain why. First off, let's look at this example from Jaws. Here's the scene with music. And here's the scene without. The scene without music just looks like a bunch of people having a good time on a beach, and then a ominous shark fin swimming through, and then it switches to a underwater perspective, which without the music you just assume the shark is just swimming around. Then when you watch the same scene with the music, all of a sudden the shark's perspective becomes completely different. It's now swimming at someone with bad intentions, and you can feel the suspension building that the shark is about to eat someone. Let's look at another example, like the movie Star Wars. I have been a Star Wars fan since I was little. I remember buying my first Lego Star Wars ship and building it while watching the movies. Now, I don't love Star Wars just because of the characters or the storyline, but a huge part of why I love Star Wars so much was because of the way it made me feel. And that comes from the music. My favorite Star Wars movie and my low-key comfort movie is the third one in the prequels, which is Revenge of the Sith. This movie is about Obi-Wan and Anakin Skywalker and their brotherly love slowly being divided into two, which is just so sad. Throughout the entire movie, though, tension is built through music. Majority of the movie, they're still getting along and talking and saving the world together until the very end. Without the music building tension, you don't feel that divide start happening. And then you get to the final battle scene between Obi-Wan and Anakin, and you're just kind of lost, and it's just two dudes swinging sticks around and they're mad at each other. But the music, especially in that final scene, brings you into their relationship so you feel like you're a part of the divide that's happening. Throughout the entire third movie, they are still working together to save the world from the Empire, all until Order 66. Order 66 completely changes the entire movie, and that's when Anakin switches to the dark side. When he switches to the dark side, they now become enemies, but they're still brothers, which is a really difficult concept to feel without music. The music builds tension all the way until the very last fight scene between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker. Now, if you watch this scene or this whole movie without music, you're just kind of lost. You see two guys who are brothers and they're mad at each other and they're fighting with sticks. When you watch this whole movie with music, it brings you in emotionally and you feel like you're a part of the split and the divide as well. Another reason that soundtracks are so important is because some characters have their own theme. Take a look at Pirates of the Caribbean, Indiana Jones, Harry Potter. All of these characters have their own song, so when they enter screen, you're reminded of who they are, what they've conquered, kind of like a Pavlov effect. If you know what Pavlov is, where every time you rang the bell, the dog got thirsty. So every time you hear this sound, you're reminded of the character's trials and triumphs and brought right back into the movie right alongside the character. Another genre that brings you right alongside with the characters because of the music is horror movies. Personally, I've only seen 3 horror movies because I choose life. But the horror movies that I have seen, they are so dependent on the music. For example, if you're watching the movie Scream, the Scream character guy calls and says, you know, I'm in your house, or I'm following you, I see you, and she starts walking around her house all scared, and the music starts building up this anticipation and anxiety that he is in the house and he's standing around the corner about to kill her. Also in this movie, or with any horror movie, there are a lot of jump scares. Jump scares without soundtracks would just be some guy yelling and the character screaming. With the soundtrack, the tension builds up and it gets creepier and you get kind of more on the edge of your seat and you get a little bit more scared. And then when the jump scare happens, it's this very loud noise which affects not just your visual sensory but also your auditory sensory, so then you're overflooded with fear in more than one sense. And don't even get me started on musicals, because they literally are musicals. It's in their name. If you were to watch a musical without any music, it would just be a play and it would have a bunch of slam poetry. Hamilton wouldn't be singing these crazy rap songs. He would just be speaking way too fast for any of us to understand. And Newsies, it would just be a bunch of guys jumping around doing ballet without any audio, and it would just be kind of weird. Even La La Land, that movie is completely about music. So that probably wouldn't even exist if musicals didn't have music in them. So for musicals, it's not even an option to watch without music. For this video, I watched a ton of movies and watched them without soundtrack. Basically, I just turned the audio off and watched with subtitles. Here's a couple movies that are completely impossible to watch without the soundtrack. Number 1 is Interstellar. That movie is completely dependent on the soundtrack and top 10 soundtracks of my personal favorites. Number 2, the original Jurassic Park. That movie would just kind of feel a little bit less inspirational without the crazy theme songs and the scary dinosaur sounds. And number 3 is Marvel Avengers Endgame. That movie plays with almost every single emotion, so the music has to be there to help guide you along or you're gonna be emotionally lost. Soundtracks don't just exist in the movies though. You can listen to them outside of the movies and feel even more inspired. For example, when I'm driving, I'll sometimes put on the Cornfield Chase from Interstellar. If you've never done this, 10 out of 10 experience. I felt like I was off to save the world when I really was just going to Walmart. Another example is when I'm studying, I'll put on some soundtrack music, and a lot of the playlists that I've created is the inspirational or the theme music. So if I put on the Harry Potter theme music while studying, all of a sudden I feel like I'm literally sitting in the library of Hogwarts and about to cast my first spell, even though I'm just trying to finish up my music during homework for class. If a soundtrack can make me feel those emotions when I'm not watching the movie, imagine how much it does paired right along with the story. Movies would not exist without soundtracks, but I guess soundtracks wouldn't exist without movies either. Both work together to create a storytelling masterpiece. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please comment down below your favorite movie soundtrack, and we'll see you guys next time.